What I'm about to show you might explain a lot about what's really happening in British politics right now. Because according to documents and insiders speaking quietly behind the scenes in Westminster, Sir Keir Starmer may have made a deal that the public was never meant to know about. A deal that could reshape the future of UK politics. A deal that raises serious questions about who really holds power in Britain today. And if even half of what we've uncovered is true, this could change everything. So the real question is, why hasn't anyone on the BBC been talking about it? Stay with me, because the deeper we go into this story, the more disturbing it gets. If you're new here, this channel breaks down the stories happening behind the scenes in Westminster, Whitehall, and across Britain. The stories ordinary people deserve to understand. We look at political decisions, insider reports, and documents that rarely make it into the mainstream headlines. And in today's video, we're diving into a situation involving Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer that has people inside Parliament whispering. Sources inside Westminster have been discussing what they describe as a quiet political arrangement that could influence the direction of the next few years of British politics. We're going to walk through the timeline, the details emerging from insiders, and the reason some analysts say this could reshape the political landscape entirely. But before we go any further, if you want more videos like this exposing what's really going on in British politics, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because the next story we're working on might be even bigger. To understand why this story matters, you need to understand the situation Britain has been facing over the past few years. The country has been under enormous pressure. Energy bills soaring, food prices climbing, and NHS waiting lists reaching record levels across multiple trusts. Across the UK, from Birmingham to Newcastle to small towns across the Midlands, many ordinary families feel like the system simply isn't working anymore. Against that backdrop, political trust has been collapsing. Recent surveys have suggested over 60% of British voters say they don't trust politicians to tell the full truth. That's where this story begins. Because according to sources speaking privately to several political analysts, conversations have been happening behind closed doors in Westminster offices and Whitehall corridors. Conversations about alliances, influence, and long-term political strategy. What the mainstream media rarely explains is how much negotiation and power trading actually happens in British politics before policies ever reach Parliament. And according to several insiders, one particular arrangement involving Labour leadership has started raising eyebrows. Documents circulating among political staffers reportedly describe a strategic understanding connected to upcoming policy directions and parliamentary cooperation. Now, to be clear, the full details of these discussions have not been publicly confirmed. But what insiders are hinting at is enough to make a lot of people start asking questions. Let's break down what insiders claim is really going on. Because the story seems to revolve around three key points. Point 1, quiet political cooperation. Several parliamentary aides have suggested that Labour leadership has been exploring informal cooperation with influential political groups and policy organizations. This kind of coordination isn't illegal. It happens in politics all the time. But the concern some insiders have raised is how little the public knows about these conversations. One analyst described it like this. Political strategy is often decided long before voters ever hear about it. And when decisions that affect energy policy, taxes, or immigration are discussed behind closed doors, people naturally begin to ask questions. But ask yourself, if these discussions are completely normal, why keep them so quiet? According to reports circulating among Westminster staffers, there may also be pressure for Labour to align with certain policy directions before the next election cycle fully unfolds. This includes discussions around economic strategy, public spending priorities, and regulatory reforms. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some insiders claim that internal briefings suggested that nearly 70% of upcoming policy proposals were already being coordinated with outside advisory networks. Again, that statistic hasn't been officially verified. But if accurate, it raises a huge question. Are political decisions being shaped inside Parliament, or somewhere else entirely? Because for ordinary working people across Britain, people dealing with rising rent, petrol prices, and weekly grocery bills, those decisions matter a lot. The third and perhaps most important point is when all of this is happening. Right now, Britain is going through one of the most economically uncertain periods in years. NHS waiting lists remain under pressure. Energy costs continue to worry families heading into winter. And political analysts say moments like this are when major policy directions are quietly set. Which brings us back to the central question. Does this sound like routine political planning, or something voters should be hearing about before decisions are finalized? As news of these claims has started circulating among political circles, reactions have been intense. One former parliamentary advisor told a political blog, "If even a portion of these discussions are happening the way people say they are, the public will want answers." Another policy analyst based in London said, "British voters already feel disconnected from decision-making in Westminster. Stories like this only deepen that mistrust." And a government staffer who spoke anonymously reportedly said, "Everyone inside Parliament knows strategic deals happen. The question is how transparent leaders are willing to be about them." Meanwhile, across social media and political forums, the response has been explosive. Some people are demanding full transparency. Others argue that political negotiations are simply part of how government works. But one thing is clear. Many people are asking why the story hasn't received more attention from major broadcasters. So far, official spokespeople connected to the Labour leadership have not publicly addressed the specific claims circulating online. And major institutions like the BBC have largely remained silent on the details being discussed by political commentators, which only fuels more speculation. Because when information is scarce, rumors fill the gap. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think these kinds of behind-the-scenes political discussions are normal? Or should voters be told more about what's happening inside Westminster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you know someone who follows British politics closely, share this video with them. Because the more people talking about these issues, the harder they are to ignore. Also make sure to check out the next video on screen, where we break down another major political story unfolding inside Whitehall right now. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more investigations into British politics. One thing is certain. Politics in Britain is entering a new phase. The decisions being made inside Westminster offices and Whitehall corridors today could shape the future of the country for years. And sometimes, the most important stories are the ones still unfolding quietly behind closed doors. Because if the whispers coming from inside Parliament are true, then what we've discussed today might only be the first piece of a much bigger puzzle. And trust me, this story is far from over.